Hi, welcome to my show called Inspired Blessings with Jean Marie Prince. And I want to thank my guest, Larry Raab, for joining us today. And he's also the director of Long Island ministry called Long Island Youth Mentoring Ministry. And so I just want to thank you so much for making the effort to come out, and thank goodness we didn't get snowed out.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And basically your ministry is to help like young people and their families. I know that you're located in Brentwood.
Right.
And kind of mentoring in the fact that sometimes you might be the fatherless, and it's also that if they're motherless as well?
Yes. We, as you said, our ministry center is in Brentwood, but we minister throughout Long Island. And the reason that you'll see the term fatherless come up a lot on our website or just even in presentations and things like that is because the family structure is broken down so much, and so often what we're looking at is fatherless homes. So yes, we have mentored in families that there's a dad, like a dad and 5 kids and no mom, but that is definitely the exception. Over 90% of the families that we work with, there's a mom there, or maybe even a grandma, but no dad is present in the home.
Now, how did you find out that these children are fatherless? Like, what's usually the situation that happens that a family becomes no father in the home?
Okay, well, you can just look around. I mean, see what's going on in society, and just we've strayed so far from biblical values to begin with. There's not a premium put on marriage whatsoever, and the family is suffering because of that. And so now you have people just going their own way, and where our culture is so much about self, and it's the opposite of what God is looking for. He's looking for us to love Him, to worship Him, and by knowing Him, loving Him, and worshiping Him, we can love our spouses in a way that He designed us to do to begin with. That's not happening. And because that's not happening, the family is just breaking down tremendously, and the innocent victims are the kids.
Right.
They have no say in that aspect of it, and so they're the ones being caught up in it.
Right. I'm thinking most of the fathers, is the average father because they're in jail?
There's a lot of that. There's an awful lot of that. The percentages of the young men that are in jail, and it's not just young men, but I'll primarily focus on that just for a second, is about 85% of the young men that are in jail come from a fatherless home. And so, there's a direct correlation there. And those are not our statistics. You could find these statistics on the web that have been done scientifically through government agencies and things.
Right.
So it's just a tremendous problem that way. And if there's no one to teach a boy how to become a man, where is he getting this from? He's getting it from the streets.
Right.
And so you talk about the blind leading the blind. This is what's going on.
How do families find out about your program?
They come to us in so many different ways, Jean Marie. It could be CPS, Department of Social Services. It's not unusual that I go to a church to make a presentation, and I might have a mom coming up to me and saying, my son can use this, or my daughter can use a mentor. Teachers in the public schools, guidance counselors, principals, just moms calling up. They come to us from all over. We have an extensive waiting list, about 161 kids as of yesterday that are waiting for a mentor to come alongside of them.
Right. And how many kids would you say right now are being mentored?
About 227.
Wow.
But that waiting list, we know as Christians you shouldn't carry the burden. That's one of the hardest things about this ministry is you try not to carry the burden of that list, because it's not just a list of numbers. Each number represents a child.
Right. And how many years could this child be without a mentor that they really need?
And we have a lot of kids that have aged out. Honestly, the list was over 200 kids for several years, and then we wound up having to age out a number of kids because, at 18, 19,
I was going to say,
all right.
I was going to say what age, right?
Right.
But what age does it actually start in the mentoring?
In what we call the one-to-one ministry, which is the ministry that was founded in 1981, Long Island Youth Mentoring, the one-to-one ministry, is an adult Christian mentor, 21 years or older, coming alongside of an 8 to 13-year-old child. That's usually when they come in to the program to be mentored, between 8 and 13. And then they can stay till they're 21. Matter of fact, I've been matched to a young man now for 13 years. And so I've been matched to them for a long time. But at 21, they're a legal adult, so we say they graduated from the program, but at that point, that
it's a relationship.
Yeah, that's right. That friendship
you can't.
is
How
for
can you
life.
break it? Yeah.
But 8 to 13 is when they usually come in. If we have an older child, like we'll get a mom saying, my son or my daughter is 15 or 16, could you please find them a mentor? And we will interview them. But honestly, if they're running with a peer group already, and there's a good chance they're not going to want an adult mentor in that way. So we'll go and interview them. If they're a loner type, it's more likely to happen. But we will say to them, and a gentleman named Vince Eppolito does our intakes, and he'll say to them point blank, he says, convince me why I should give you a mentor.
Yeah, because because I'm thinking sometimes teenagers can be like have an attitude. I don't want, you know.
And so mentors are so scarce, so to speak, that you want to be careful about who you match to.
Yeah, I was going to say screening first of all, right?
Absolutely. Yes, tremendous screening process. But if a child, 15, 16, 17, even 18 sometimes, we'll match them if we think it's going to be a good match and we think that they are really in need of a mentor. In the Bridges ministry, which is a ministry, one-to-one mentoring ministry to young people living in group homes, the typical age, I would say, is probably about 17 to 19 that we begin those matches, and we've seen tremendous fruit.
Now, how often does these mentorings happen? Like, is it once a week that a volunteer?
Yes, when a volunteer becomes a mentor, what they're committing to is once per week, 2 to 4 hours per week for an initial commitment of 1 year. And then at the end of 1 year, we reevaluate with the mentor, with the mentee, and a youth mentoring staff person we call an area director or caseworker. And we review the previous year and make a decision on going forward. Are they going to be matched again? So one of the things that we do very well after a mentor is matched to supervise them. We have each mentor is assigned a full-time staff person at youth mentoring that prays with them, that prays for them, that is there for them to call if they have any questions. I mean, they'll call us to give us praises too, but they'll also call us and say, hey, I don't know what to do with this situation. Can you help me out with that? And so that's part of what our staff does.
And so besides mentoring, it's a time that you have to spend, but when you decide to take this person, that you're mentoring to an event, then that person pays for it as well. And
well, what our volunteers are very committed, and the way it works in terms of their weekly time together, they'll go to the young person's house, or if it's a group home, and they pick them up, take them out of that setting, and then they spend time with them doing fun things, especially at the outset. They don't know each other yet. They're trying to build a relationship, build trust. That time together is on the mentor. And so even in our orientation training, we explain to them, we say, look, this is not about spending money. Matter of fact, less is better. Be creative, learn new things together, and don't make it about money because you set up unreal expectations. But youth mentoring also does one big group event each month, whether it's a fishing trip or in January we did a games night at the ministry center. We're going to have a movie night where the mentors and the mentees can come together. So it's great for the mentors. They see other mentors that are doing the same thing. It's good for the mentees as well. And also then it provides a free activity.
So you're located in Brentwood, but how far do you go on all over the island?
Yes. Personally, I've matched children as far as East Hampton. But we will go out to Montauk if we have somebody out there, and then we go as far west as the western tip, the western edge of Nassau, and we have on the group home basis have kind of jumped the line a bit into Queens because there were some group homes that were asking us, could you please mentor these kids that are here, get mentors. So we have done that. But basically we cover the island, yes.
So you mentioned, what is it, you said 12 years ago that you started the mentoring yourself?
Myself?
But you didn't come in as a director.
Right, we've been on staff, meaning my family and I, myself, my wife Gina, for almost 16 years now. The ministry started in 1981, and then 28 years ago, give or take, John Cragg, he's our executive director. He's over me, and then it's me. So he's been here for a long time, and because of that longevity, that's why the ministry. One of the reasons the ministry has done so well. But it started in 1981, and we're in our 34th year now.
Right.
I've been
that's
here
great.
Almost half the time.
What a blessing.
Yeah, amen.
What a blessing.
Amen.
Yeah, and being a director, you got a lot of responsibilities there. So is this 24/7 type of job, would you say, or?
It can be. My role is, when I first came on staff, I was the East End area director, so I had about Ronkonkoma out to both forks.
Right.
And then probably around 10 years ago, give or take, I'm not sure, I became the director of ministry, so I oversee the field staff and all the ministries and the matches and things like that. So I'm kind of their upline if there is an issue. So sure, I mean, if it's an emergency situation that they need help with, one of my area directors, I might get a late night call or an early morning call or things like that. But our staff is tremendous too, and they the wealth of experience that exists on our staff right now in the terms of number of years is phenomenal.
That's great.
So yeah.
Well, that's called commitment.
Yeah,
That's called
right.
passion.
It's definitely not 9 to 5 though.
Yes,
It is
right.
definitely not 9 to 5.
Right. On your website, you have a quote kind of saying the fatherless cancer epidemic of our culture. And so what is kind of reconfirms what you were saying prior, right?
Absolutely. You know, fatherlessness is, it's a couple of different things. And in some ways, and some people, and even some people who are watching this may disagree with this statement, but I firmly believe that it's harder for a child whose father is alive and chooses not to see them, as opposed to, you know, my father died in a car crash or whatever, and I can't see him.
Right.
But there's a lot of that kind of fatherlessness too. You know, we, at staff meeting the other day, one of our staff was saying, you know, this boy, he knows his father lives 2 to 3 miles away from where he lives, and he just chooses not to see him.
How about the fathers that are there in the house, but their work is a priority, and really that child is fatherless because the father is trying to provide all these, you know, gifts. But it's real. But what is this child really wants? A gift of time.
Right. If the priority is wrong, there's no question in any home. But you're right. It's that old question: how do you spell love? T-I-M-E. You know, spending time with someone. Because when you spend time with somebody, what does that show? It shows that they have value. It shows that they're important to you.
Right.
So with our mentors, when they go to a mentee's house, and let's just say for argument's sake, they say, okay, we're going to meet Tuesdays at 4:30, and they show up Tuesday at 4:25. Week in and week out, I mean, that might be the first person in this child's life that's actually had that consistency with them to actually follow through on a promise that they made.
Right.
You know, and so that speaks volumes, because a lot of the kids that we work with, a lot of the families we work with, they don't know how to trust. And so that's really one of the first things you want to do is build that trust. And then you, in essence, earn the right to speak into their lives and to speak the truth of the gospel into their lives.
You don't believe that a mother can be a mother and a father? Or what do you feel that a father can bring it to the table that a mother can't?
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. Being a single mom, in my view, and I've never been one, obviously, but is the single hardest job in the world. There's no question about that. So there's a lot of moms that are doing both because they've been thrust into that role, into that position. Is that the best scenario? No, it's not. It's not the best for her, for obvious reasons. It is, you know, let's say you have a mom that's going to work, trying to put food on the table for the kids, clothes on their back and all that, and then the kids are coming home to who? Now there's maybe nobody there. But at the same time, I mean, God created us different. You know, that shouldn't be news to anybody, that men and women are different. He gave us different roles. We're wired in different ways. And so can a mom teach a boy how to be a man, or how to be a godly man or a godly father? Honestly, not in the way that God designed. Okay, there's a tremendous amount of women that are doing an unbelievable job in this role. There is no question about that, and I have the utmost respect and give them the utmost credit. But it's not the best way to go.
So when you're getting a mentor of a male, is it both for both a boy or a girl?
No, that's a great question, though, and I'll answer that directly. But let me explain too. The role of a mentor is to be a friend, and the goal of a mentor is to convey the love of Christ through the friendship. So whether it's a man being matched to a boy or a woman being matched to a girl, because we don't cross-match in that way. Okay, it's never a man's role to replace a boy's father. So it's not his role. It would never be a woman's role to replace a girl's father either, or a mother for that matter. They're there to be a friend. Matter of fact, Jean Marie, even when we introduce them to kind of just break down a barrier, you know, say we're matching a 9-year-old to, just for argument's sake, a 43-year-old man, we don't say, hey, Bobby, this is Mr. Johnson. We say, hey, Bobby, you know, and sometimes we use like Big Brother, say, meet your new Big Brother, Joe.
Sure.
Just to break that barrier down and say, you know, you're friends. You know, obviously you're not peers in that regard, but we want you to be friends.
Is there a mentoring relationship that stands out from all the other mentorings, if you can choose one of them, because I'm sure there's got to be a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. You know, let me, if I could tell you a couple of stories, just even like one about building trust. There was a man, he was matched to an 11-year-old, I'll call him Bobby, the boy. And they were matched. The first week he went fine, and the second week he went to pick the boy up, he went to pick Bobby up. He had made the arrangements the week before, like we had trained him to. He went there, ring the bell, nobody's answering the door, but he could kind of sense somebody's home. So he like waits in the car and he said, I don't understand what's going on, you know, but he waited for a little while. Then he went home, called his youth mentoring area director, and we said, you know what, next week when you go, call, make sure, see what happened, make sure everything's okay. Next week, call the day before. He did that. It was the same thing, but he's like, it feels like somebody's home, you know, you kind of sense something. It happened again, and so the third week we called the family. We said, is everything okay? Oh yeah, no, we're sorry, it's fine. Okay, so we told him, before you go over that day, make a call. He did. He goes there, same thing, rings the bell, nobody's answering the door.
That's called frustration.
Right, well, so he's saying, Lord, he gets in his car and he's saying, Lord, I thought you wanted me to do this. I thought you wanted me to mentor this kid. 15, 20 minutes, he waits, nothing. Puts the key in the ignition, turns the key, and Bobby pops up from behind a bush to the right of the front door, and he comes running down. And so the mentor rolls down the window and says, Bobby, he says, what are you doing? And he says, have you been there every week? And he said, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were going to keep coming back.
Oh, wow.
So, in other words, this young boy is
tested
saying,
him.
Right, I am going to test you a little bit before I put my heart out there, and whap,
wow,
you stomp on it. So that's one of those kinds of things. And then they wind up having a great relationship. And then there's others where, you know, we had a young man that at 6 years old, or 2 years old, his father was locked up, he was in jail. At 6 years old, his mother died of cancer. By 11 years old, he was living in a group foster home. By 12 years old, he'd been arrested for breaking and entering. And by 14 years old, he had been hooked up by somebody with Long Island Youth Mentoring. He was matched to this gentleman for about 5 years, and they're still matched now, but over the course of those 5 years, he came to know the Lord through the example of his mentor. He finished high school, he's looking to go to college, and he's living in a stable living situation now as well. And so you see the impact that one person can have. We have a mathematical equation that I can't show you right this second, but it basically says prayer, love, and consistency over time equals change lives.
Breaks down the walls too.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I'm sure that some of these children that have been mentored, they probably turn out to be mentors themselves, right?
You know, we have a couple of great stories like that, and one of them, and if he ever sees this, he'll know exactly who he is. He had a very difficult childhood and all, and he was matched to a good mentor, and he was the first one who became a mentor himself. He's also now a New York City detective.
Oh, wow.
And he had a great, he was the first one. We were celebrating over that for sure.
Right.
You know?
And as you've been talking about your faith of what, you know, your Long Island Youth Mentoring is based on also Jesus Christ. And why is that?
You know, we just believe that because of who Jesus is, because of what he's done for us, you know, coming, living, walking amongst his own who he knew he would reject him, and even nailed him to the cross. He died for our sins. We believe what the Word of God is true, and what we firmly believe is that people need a relationship with Jesus in order to be healed of all that ails them, physical ailments, spiritual, emotional, mental, everything. And so we are a Christian ministry that points to Jesus as the source of love and hope that a child has experienced in their relationship.
Now, how do you get support? Because it's not a government type of program.
No, absolutely not.
You know.
No, we're local missionaries, basically.
Okay.
So we raise our own support. And
how do you do that?
Well, we have churches that support us as individuals. There's churches that support the ministry as a whole, but each staff person, like myself, our family, we're required to raise our own support. So we have a team of individuals and a team of churches that help us each month to do that, and it's a tremendous blessing. It's a tremendous walk of faith when you're raising your own support. You know, but God is good.
That really is. That is. Now, do you have any events coming up?
We do, in terms of what, like fundraising? Yeah, in May, it might be June 1st this year. I forget if it's May 31st or June 1st. It's that Saturday. We do actually a miniature golf outing. We did for 31 years a run for youth, but that kind of got stale. So now we do a miniature golf outing. A lot of people do big golf outings for fundraisers. Well, this is sort of a spoof on a big golf outing because anybody could pick up a putter and do miniature golf. And basically, people pay to come golf. They get sponsors, hopefully we get sponsors, and that's one fundraiser that we do. And then in November, we only do 2 fundraisers a year besides the individual support. In November, we do what's called the Harvest Auction, and it's a very very nice evening at the Brookville Country Club, and people come and they pay a decent amount to come for dinner, but they also bid on a lot of nice trips and things that are donated and the like.
Sure.
So it's a great, we very much appreciate the people that help support us in that way.
No, definitely. Now, what is your website if people want to get more information?
Sure. It's www.longislandyouthmentoring.com. So LIYouthmentoring.com, no spaces.
Right,
And
right.
there's a lot of information. There's some great videos up there that people can see, how to be a mentor, all that kind of thing.
Right. Now, you mentioned 2 kind of ministries, which is one-on-one, and then also about the group home. Now, what other ministries? Because I think you have other ministries
Yeah, we do.
besides
There's
that.
2 other ones. We have the Mother's Ministry, which is a mature Christian woman coming alongside of one of the moms of a child or children in the program. And I often call that a coffee and bagel ministry, because so much of that ministry comes in a setting, even like this, just sitting down over a cup of coffee, and then that mentor listening to that mom, getting inside of her frame of reference, what's important to her, what are her struggles as a mom, how can she pray for her, how can she help her in a practical way. And as mom goes, so goes the household. So we feel just a responsibility to help the moms where we can. And so the Mother's Ministry is a tremendous ministry. Absolutely.
Right. Well, the thing is it's really, again, giving somebody time, but it's also making that person feel that they're special.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That they're worth something, that God loves them, and that, for them to see somebody voluntarily taking their time, and to really commit to that. Because I guess, I hate to say this, I had actually inquired or thought about doing this, with your organization. But my problem is that I didn't find the time, and I feel bad to feel that way, because you know what,
you're right about that.
It is, and so the people that are volunteering, I give them, I'm proud of what they're doing, helping the other mentors and things like that.
Absolutely.
But when you look at time, though, it isn't though as much time as you really think, because you were saying it's 1 week for 4 hours.
2 to 4 hours.
2 to 4 hours per week.
Right. And when we have what we call an orientation training, which is part of the screening process, and we even go over that. We go over the time aspect. We let people know that once a week comes around quickly, and it is a big commitment. And so we just want people. We don't try to talk anybody out of it. We just want them to realize what the gravity of the commitment is.
Well, because you need to know that the person that's volunteering is truly taking this, seriously, because that child Bobby waiting in the bush, if that person gave up, forget it. It would have just been like, see, I was right.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do, or certainly the last thing we want to do, is dump on a child in the name of Jesus, right?
Right.
You don't want to do that. So we're careful about that. And we have a great screening process. People learn a lot. We learn a lot about them. They learn a lot about us. There's very much a give and take at those training and orientations. But we believe that we give them a very comprehensive view of what to expect. And then what's so important for people to realize is we support each individual in their ministry. And when they're not, we don't just throw them out there alone and say, hey, have at it. We're there for them, and we're there for them in a big way, whenever they need us. So the 24/7 question you asked before, an area director is available 24/7 except when they're on vacation, in which case someone else covers their caseload. So we tell people, hey, look, don't call us at 12:30 at night because you say, I think he has a hangnail, that can wait till tomorrow. So use some wisdom there, but we are available in emergencies.
Right. Now, you have children?
Myself?
Yes.
Absolutely. We have six children.
Wow, you're a big mentor.
Yeah. we have 6 children, 2 son-in-laws, 1 daughter-in-law, 2 grandchildren.
Wow. Have to be, for instance, you have people that are painters professionally, and the last house to be painted is their own house. In this situation, you can't take that to, you have to take your job serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to be what you're saying.
Honestly, we live on Long Island. Time is at a premium always. It feels like things just go faster and faster every day. I'm 52 now, and it just feels like things have sped up exponentially over the last 15, 16 years. My wife, Jana, and I, and she's just unbelievable. We're together for almost 35 years at this point, and we basically do our family. Well, we do the Lord, our family, and this ministry. And there's not a whole lot more other time, and we are blessed. I mean, we have tremendous relationships with our children. The Lord's blessed us in that way. I couldn't go into it now, but He worked on us. The way we came to the Lord was through marriage and family. That's a whole nother
interview. Now, your 6 children, are any of them mentors?
A couple of them were mentors. Not right this second. They do help us in other ways, but and they help us with a lot of the activities and things like that. But they've been, some of my kids have been one-to-one mentors. Some have been partners of potential mentors, which we hadn't mentioned yet. That's the Fourth Ministry, which is a reading program to kids that are 1 or more years behind in their reading ability, 1st through 4th graders. And so some have been involved in that as well. And so some of them have been involved since before they were born, and others, a little bit later.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing about your ministry and how important it is.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, people want more information. It's LongIslandYouthMentoring.org. So it's LongIslandYouthMentoring.org that you can be able to find out more about how to volunteer and how to become a mentor, and how really it's going to be more of a blessing to you, believe it or not, than to the person that you're mentoring. So it's definitely worth really inquiring about it. So I'd like to also give you one of my inspirations. God's blessed me with inspirations, and I felt, because I do also feel that fathers that are living in the homes, their priorities being their job, so really that child is fatherless. So it's called The Father's Second Chance. Books and Inspired Blessings inspirational prints are available at jeanmarieprints.com. Daddy, did you see me sing in my preschool? My voice was the loudest for you to hear. Did you see when I had my kindergarten play? I was doing my best to remember my lines. Oh, I forgot. You had to miss them. I can read a little now, and I wish you were here by my side, so I could read you a story before I go to bed, and then you could tell me what a great job I did. I had a lot of fun at field day today. I got a ribbon pinned to my shirt. You should have just seen my big smile, because I know you would have smiled back at me. Today I learned how to ride my 2-wheeler. I fell a couple of times, and I wish you could kiss my boo-boos, but Mommy kissed them for me, since you couldn't. Sorry, Daddy, I keep forgetting. Your work must come first. Daddy, I miss you so much. Do you miss me too? If I could wish upon a star, I would wish that I could spend more time with you. Daddy, I just realized I was just dreaming, because I know you can't wait to see all the different things I will do as I grow up. Daddy, never forget, I will always love you.
Praise God. Yeah,
Thank
you.
Yes, no problem. Yeah, so I just want to thank you so much for being my guest today, and being a blessing.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
I also want to kind of say a special thank you to Dominic at TLC Transmission and Affordable Auto Care in Setauket, New York, for your kind generosity and in the fact that you were able to help one of my volunteers who I had kind of mentioned the situation that they needed front brakes and that they weren't able to afford to fix them, but how important it was, for them to be able to get around and things like that. And she's been such a blessing to me. And so I just want to thank you, Dominic, for really stepping up and just being such a blessing to her that you were able to help her. So I mean, Dominic, you know that I use you, and so I can trust your judgment, and I know that you're always honest with if there's something wrong with my car. So I know sometimes it's hard to find auto repair shops out there that you can trust, but I know I can trust you. So TLC, I definitely approve. Transmissions, Affordable Auto Care in Setauket, New York. And so thank you again. I appreciate it. So again, please like my Inspired Blessings Facebook page, and so you can get more of the updates of my show. And keep Inspired Blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are lost for words. Thank you, and God bless.
With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible.